Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric with Advanced Level Automotive. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're over here at this car lot. Now this car lot I've been doing business with for probably the past 5 years or so, and they've always given me some really interesting stuff to work on. It's mainly diagnostic work. These guys, they have their own mechanics, and I give them credit, they're badass. They could pull a motor out, have a motor back in, up and running the same day, but when it comes to electrical and diagnostic work, they just prefer to send it over to me. I've always been really appreciative of it. And so we're going to continue to do business. Now that I'm mobile, I'm going to be coming here pretty often. They've got a lot of cars for me to work on, and hopefully we can make a lot of good content. Anyways, you guys can see right behind me, I have this 2014 Nissan GTR, and the customer complaint is that the vehicle is intermittently stalling. He also says that when he goes to accelerate pretty hard, that the check engine light is flashing. Now the vehicle is modified, it has been tuned, so I don't know if we're going to be able to fix this thing or not. I mean, I'm hoping that I can. I'm not going to say that I know everything about tuned vehicles, but hopefully it's something that we can maybe learn together. We can figure it out, get this vehicle fixed. Now, I know before we get started, a lot of you guys are going to want to walk around. It is a beautiful car, so let's go ahead and do it. All right, so moving inside the vehicle, it's got this really neat little door handle. If we look inside, you'll see that we have these really cool blue accented seats. And if we move inside, that's what the interior looks like. It's pretty cool. And if you look down here, it says that this is for track pack special selection. Not really sure what that means, but it's a pretty cool car. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down on the brake pedal. I'm going to hit the start button. I've got the key right here in the cup holder. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. It's got this really cool GTR up on the screen here. As you guys can hear, it's got a really nice exhaust note. What's really neat is if you look up here, you can see that we've got some digital gauges. It shows the engine oil temperature, coolant temperature, transmission oil temperature. We even have a little boost gauge right here and the speedometer over here, so that's pretty neat. And I think that's customizable. We can switch what gauges we want to look at. Now, listening to the way this thing runs right now, it seems like it's running pretty normal. I don't hear anything out of the ordinary. And the other thing that I notice is that I don't see a check engine light. This little hazard light is because the door is open. So I'm going to go ahead and close the door. You'll see that light goes away. And like I said, we don't see a check engine light. So I think first things first, let's go ahead and hook up the scan tool and see if we can pull any codes. All right, so I've got the scan tool connected. What I'm using is the Autel MaxiSys. And my touchscreen actually stopped working. So I'm going to be using this little neat wireless mouse that somebody gave me. Looks like a car. Anyway, so as you can see the little mouse trigger on the screen there, I'm going to find Nissan. We'll move this over here. Right up here is Nissan, and we'll just hit standalone for now. Let's go ahead and load up the Nissan software. We'll go to automatic selection. Let's read the VIN. As you can see, we've got the VIN number detected here. Let's go ahead and hit OK. It's saying here we have a 2014 Nissan GTR R35. Let's go ahead and hit yes. And now we can go over to diagnosis. And let's do an auto scan. See how many codes we have stored. Okay, so what's interesting here is that we're not actually showing the ECM or the ECU. The only three modules that we're showing is the BCM, the multi-AV, and the suspension module. which it doesn't even give me any codes for the BCM or the multi-AV. It's telling me pass no faults on the suspension, so I'm curious if that has anything to do with the tune, or if maybe it's just a problem with the software for the Nissan and the MaxiSys. Let me try to go directly into the engine control module. We'll just choose control unit and see what pops up here. Yeah, so as you can see, we have engine. Let's go to the engine control unit. And it's telling us we're not communicating. Again, I'm not sure if this is an issue with the software in the MaxiSys, or if it's an issue with the tune that's installed into the vehicle. I guess let me do a little bit of research and see what I can come up with. All right, guys, so after doing some research, it turns out that I'm not the only person dealing with this problem. It seems that the Autel software does not support communication with the GTR model. Even though it has the Nissan software built into the MaxiSys, I can communicate with every other Nissan model, but I can't communicate with the GTR. It's limited to certain modules, and as you guys can see, the only module that we can communicate with is like the suspension control module. So I think I'm gonna need like a Consult 3, which is the OEM scan tool. I don't own one. I don't know anybody that owns one, so I can't get my hands on one. But I do think that we can go into the global mode and try to communicate with the ECM that way. So we're gonna go ahead and try to do that. Hopefully we can pull up some codes and maybe some live data. All right, so back at the scan tool, we're gonna go into the global OBD2 mode, right here where it says check engine. Let's click on that. Let's go to auto scan. Give this thing a minute. Now we're gonna go into the DTCs. We're gonna see if we have any stored trouble codes. And as you can see here, it says no codes are stored in the module. Well, that sucks, because I was really hoping that we had maybe at least a code that would give us a direction as to what could be happening with the vehicle. But we have no code. So let's go ahead and move over to the live data. See what we can pull up. All right, so we're looking at some live data here. Now, starting at the top, as you can see, we have 0 DTCs. We already knew that, but if we move down, you can see that the fuel system status for bank 1 and bank 2 is open loop drive. Now, that's probably normal because this vehicle is tuned. In dealing with a lot of tuned vehicles, I've noticed that every time I go to plug in a scan tool and I try to pull up some live data, I always see a lot of parameters that just aren't moving. It seems like they're already set to some type of preset table. I know they set the fuel tables and stuff like that whenever they do the tune, so I'm not sure how that works, but I can tell you that it's probably normal to see some parameters or some data PIDs that just, they're not moving, especially when it comes to like oxygen sensor data PIDs and the fuel trim data PIDs. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at these data PIDs and we're gonna kind of take them with a grain of salt and just move forward. So let's go ahead and scroll down and look at some of the things we can look at. Over here you can see that the short-term fuel trim for bank 1, so you can see it's around -2, -3, and the long term is around -10. And looking at bank 2, it's pretty much showing the same thing. Looks like bank 1 and bank 2 are pretty much matching each other. Again, I'm going to take these data PIDs with a grain of salt. I mean, because if you look at this, you would think it's running rich, but again, I'm not really sure with the tune that's installed what we should be seeing here. So let me scroll down here, and we can see there's some data PIDs for the absolute throttle position. There's also some data PIDs for the oxygen sensors. If we continue to scroll down, we can see some more data PIDs referring to the lambda. I think these are probably really important. If we highlight these, lambda from bank 1 and lambda for bank 2, these are going to be for the air fuel ratio sensors, and these are going to tell us whether or not we're showing stoichiometric. So I believe what we should be seeing is somewhere around 1 volt. That's going to indicate that we're looking at fuel ratio of 14.7 to 1, which is stoichiometric. And as you can see, bank 2, we're right around 1 volt, and the same thing on bank 1. So it's pretty much looking good here. If we continue down, we can see we've got some more data PIDs to work with. The barometric pressure, let's see here, load value, throttle position sensors, pedal position sensors, the mass airflow sensor. So there's quite a few data PIDs that we can look at. Let me go ahead and switch this over to grams per second. That's a little more familiar to me. Looking over here, we're looking at 3 grams per second during idle. This is a V6 motor, so it's probably normal. Anyways, right now I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Again, this thing is tuned, so I'm not really sure what we should be expecting to see as far as the data PIDs go. But I think the first thing I want to try to do is maybe go for a test drive and see if we can get this thing to stall on us. All right, guys, so we're going to go for a quick test drive. And we're going to want to be careful because, of course, this car probably costs more than my entire net worth. So we're going to want to be careful when we're driving, be cautious of all activity on the road. There's quite a bit of construction here, so I'm going to have to be careful. Probably let this guy move out of the way here. Anyway, I'm going to get up on the road, take this thing for a test drive, and see if this thing will stall on me. So I'm driving down this street. There's a new shop that just opened up. Look at the sign they have outside. Free diagnostics. Seriously. I mean, that's just the stuff that pisses me off. I mean, come on, guys. That's part of what's wrong with this industry. You know, where else can you get free diagnostics? It's not like you can go to the doctor and, you know, they won't charge you for the x-ray or the blood work. They'll just charge you for the surgery. Anyways, guys, I've been driving this car for a little while now, and it has not stalled on me. Though I've just been kind of driving it normal because I've been running into quite a bit of traffic here. So I'm probably gonna try to find an open road where I can give it a little bit more of an acceleration and see what happens. So let me see if I can get to an open road. All right, so obviously the customer said that the check engine light is flashing when he goes under a hard acceleration. So I've got a pretty wide open road here. I'm gonna go ahead and just accelerate. Let's pay attention, see if we can see the check engine light flashing. I'm gonna go ahead and accelerate it. Ooh. Holy crap. Holy crap. Wow. This thing really pulls. Holy crap. I gotta be real careful about that. Hopefully you guys were able to see. I think I saw the check engine light down here at the lower right hand corner. It was flashing. So let's go ahead and move back over to the scan tool and see if we have a stored code. All right, guys, so I pulled over. I've got the scan tool here, and we're gonna see if we have any trouble codes. So let's go into DTC and see if we have any stored codes. And looking at this thing, you can see it tells us that there are still no codes stored in the module, so that's not going to help us at all. All right, so I'm not really sure where to go from here. I think maybe I'm going to have to do a little bit of research and see if I can come up with any useful information as to why the check engine light might be flashing under heavy acceleration. All right, guys, so let me apologize if I'm skipping ahead here. So I went ahead and I talked to the owner, and I pretty much gave him the rundown on the issues that I was running into as far as communicating with the scan tool, how my scan tool is pretty much limited to the amount of data that I could pull out of this computer, and you know, how I was able to recreate the problem with the flashing check engine light, but I could never really get the vehicle to stall. And so we had some discussions, and I got a lot of good information from him and also the mechanic. So apparently what happened was they took the vehicle for a drive, and the vehicle stalled on them, and they had the mechanic look at it. And what the mechanic told me was that he found that this intake boot over here was loose. So he went ahead and tightened it and made sure that it was secure, and they went on another test drive. And during that test drive, the vehicle didn't stall, but the check engine light was flashing under heavy acceleration. Now, whether or not the flashing check engine light was there before this boot came off, I'm not really sure, because the owner actually just recently bought the car and hasn't really driven it much. I mean, the car only has like 21,000 miles on it, so it's pretty low miles. He doesn't really drive it often, and he doesn't really accelerate heavily very often. So he's really not even sure whether or not the flashing check engine light was there before this boot came off, or if it even has anything to do with that. So anyways, like I said, I wasn't able to recreate the stalling problem. The vehicle does not stall, but the check engine light does flash under a heavy acceleration. Now, the other cool thing that the owner was able to get from me was the actual tuning software, the laptop. He said that when he purchased the vehicle, they actually gave him a laptop for the programming software, and it's right over here. Let me show you guys real quick. So if you look, this is the laptop that they gave him, and this right here is made by a company called ECU Tech or EQ Tech. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, but this is the tuner that came with the vehicle. And if you open up this box, you can see that it comes with this interface cable, this OBD2 connector. It says ECU Tech, and it comes with this little DES key. So now, doing a little bit of research, I was able to determine that this is like a software key. It's a little USB dongle, and you just plug it into the side of the computer because the software is right here, but when you try to open it, it won't let you open it. You have to install this key first. So we'll put this into the side of the computer, into one of the USB ports. And of course, you know, every time you go to plug in something into a USB port, you always put it upside down first. Anyway, so now that that's plugged in, we can also take this OBD2 connector or interface cable, and we'll go ahead and plug this in also. Ooh, I got it right the first time. Okay, so now that we have that plugged in, we can go ahead and plug this in to the OBD2 port, which is underneath right here, the kick panel. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in. You see that thing light up? Now we can move back over to the scan tool or the laptop, and we can go ahead and open up the software, and you'll see it says ECU Tech. There's an update. It says it's been 854 days since you last checked for Pro ECU updates. So it's been a while since this thing was updated, but we'll worry about updating it later. I'm just seeing if I can pull up some information. Now, looking at this software interface, it looks like here it says we have CAN interface and K-line interface. So I guess those are the two communication lines. So you can see right there. Now, in all honesty, I'm not going to pretend that I know how this software works. I don't know anything about it. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to basically do some research, maybe take a crash course in how to use this software. Because what I'm hoping is that this software can give us more information than my scan tool can, as far as reading codes and whatnot and pulling up live data. I mean, just looking through this thing, I'm not... Oh, look, we can detect a vehicle. So we'll hit detect vehicle. It says detecting vehicle, please wait. Let me try to move the screen a little bit so there's no glare. I should probably turn the ignition on. Let me go ahead and push this twice to get the vehicle to power up. And let's try that again. It says no vehicle detected, but we're going to try that again. Detect vehicle. Give it a minute. All right, it says we can program engine ECU, program transmission ECU. Looks like it's got some DTC tools. Oh yeah, for the air conditioning module, for the all-wheel drive ECU, for the body control module, and for the engine ECU. There's a lot of DTC tools, so I guess these we can use them to pull up any trouble codes that might be stored in any one of these modules. And if we look down here, it looks like there's a DTC tool pretty much for like a general scan. I wonder if this is something like an auto scan. I'm going to see if I can run it real quick. So I'll hit OK. It says read DTCs. We'll go ahead and click on that. Yeah, check that out. It's doing like an auto scan on all of the modules. Now it says to switch the ignition off, so we'll go ahead and switch it off. wait just a minute. It says this will take 15 seconds. Now it says to switch the ignition on. And I think we have our list of DTCs there. Let's go ahead and scroll through this and see if we can find any good, useful information here. Looks like up here at the top it says transmission ECU. It says 0 DTCs red. Looks like the tire pressure monitor, 0 DTCs. Suspension ECU, 0 DTCs. If we go down, you see we have one code here for the air conditioning module, where it says air conditioning and ABS ECU. There's a C1109. I'm not really going to worry about that right now. Scroll down. Body control module. We have quite a few codes here in the body control module. A bunch of B codes. 7 of them. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about those. Let's go ahead and scroll down. IPDM. Looks like we have one code in the IPDM, B2109. And finally, the engine ECU right here at the bottom. See if you guys can see that. Engine ECU. It says 0 DTCs red. So even this thing's showing that we don't have any DTCs in the engine control module. So I'm not even really sure if that's going to help us too much. But like I said, guys, this is a learning experience for me. I don't know anything about this software. I don't really know anything about tuning. I'm not going to pretend I do. So I think what I'm going to have to do is put in some time, do some research, try to figure out if I can find a way to work this software and maybe learn how to use the data logging, and try to figure out if it's possible for us to maybe find out what's wrong with this vehicle. Again, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to figure it out or if I'm going to be able to fix it or not, but we're definitely going to try. This is a learning experience for me. I mean, maybe for you guys too. So hopefully we can gather some good information and see what we can figure out.